Greetings, welcome to the channel. Thanks for watching. Today we're going to be talking about gimbals, specifically the Weebill series. I have the Weebill S, the Weebill 2, and the Weebill 3. We're going to talk about it here today on Tech, Tools, and Toys. Zhiyun Weebill S. I purchased this gimbal back in 2019. And it served me well. I've had a lot of use of this gimbal. It's a great gimbal in terms of its flexibility, its weight, its ease of use, and it's just a great overall gimbal. And it's a budget gimbal at that, because at the time I think I purchased it, it was around the price of $350. Just a little history about the Zhiyun Weebill S. Its predecessor was the Weebill. And it had a lot to be desired in terms of its capabilities. It had a lot to do with its weight capacity and how much it could hold in its cameras, and it's also its stability of the actual gimbal functionality itself. The gimbal at the time was only out for about 6 to 7 months before they realized the flaws and had to upgrade. And that's when they came out with the Weebill S, which came with stronger motors. And the design pretty much stayed the same. However, they did introduce this quick release plate, which I absolutely love, because it just makes removing your camera and putting your camera on so much easier and so much simpler. So of course, you mount your camera here, and then just with a quick lock and latch and tighten up a screw, and you're on board. Your camera is attached to the gimbal and you're ready to start flying. And that was actually an innovative thing for Zhiyun, because there weren't many gimbal manufacturers at the time that did that. They didn't have a quick release plate or a quick release mechanism. So they were definitely innovators in that regard. Also, this sling grip was one of the things that really made this popular as well, because it was unique because there were no other gimbals on the market at the time that had this, and still aren't to this day. There's very few, and I'm going to talk about some of the upgrades from the Zhiyun Weebill that has extended this handle grip here, and it made it even more functional. Some of the downsides of this gimbal, I would say, is the buttons, the function buttons, the menu buttons, the control buttons are here, right here, where you would actually grip the gimbal. So a lot of times it would either put the gimbal in lock, or it would change some settings as you're flying it, and it kind of made it kind of annoying, kind of frustrating to have to deal with that. So but they do have a locking mechanism on there, but that was one of my main peeves of this gimbal. However, again, great gimbal, smooth. It was my first gimbal, and so after using it after some time, I wanted to see what new features and new capabilities I had to access. And so Zhiyun came out with the Weebill 2. And the thing about the Weebill 2, I'll just get rid of this here. The Weebill 2, which I purchased here. The Weebill 2, I purchased it with the combo. Now the Weebill 2, just like the Weebill S, it has the sling handle, short form factor, but they added a flip out view screen. The flip out view screen was cool because you could connect it to a wireless peripheral or wireless transmitter that would send signal from your camera, or any camera for that matter, that was connected to the wireless transmitter. I purchased this gimbal on sale most recently, probably about a month or two ago. Less than 2 days after I purchased this gimbal and received it in the mail and was excited to get it and about to open the box, lo and behold, I look online and they launch and introduce the Weebill 3. So the thing about the Weebill 3 that excited me so much, that kind of disappointed me, the fact that I already purchased the Weebill 2, was that it had this great handle, which was detachable for one, and it was separate from the tripod legs that also detached. That for the, if you remember, for the Weebill, the original Weebill S, you would have to detach and reattach. So they eliminated that, and they took out the screen, which at the time I was like, well, maybe I do need a screen. But then I'm like, well, I don't need a screen because my camera has a screen, and when I fly my gimbal, I'm always looking at the camera screen anyway, so it'd be kind of a redundancy to have two screens. I'm looking at my camera screen, and I'm also looking at the gimbal flip out screen. To me, it was kind of like, okay, well, maybe I don't need it. All right. So like the Weebill S, the Weebill 3 has the quick release plate, which I loved so much that I was just like, you know what? This is just makes my life so much simpler to just have something that just locks out like this. I put my camera on there within seconds. It just pops right on, I lock it, and it's good to go, and I'm ready to fly again. And I don't have to worry about rebalancing my camera and putting things back in the right proper settings. Everything is just ready to go. So now the Weebill 2 sits here in my home. I'm well past the return period, so I'm actually eventually going to either sell this or give it away. But anyway, this Weebill 2, I'm not saying it's a bad gimbal. I'm just saying in comparison to the Weebill 3, 2 is, to me, an unnecessary purchase. So away with the Weebill 2. I'm going to bring back the Weebill S because I still love this gimbal, and I'm not going to get rid of this gimbal. I'm still going to keep this gimbal. Maybe I will have it as a second shooter gimbal when I go out and shoot weddings. I'll have one of my second shooters have it as an accessory to help with the smoother shots. But back to the Weebill 3. Again, we have the handle. Very similar, just like the Weebill S, we have the sling handle, they call it. But the thing about this sling handle, it is adjustable. So you can adjust it for comfort, you can adjust it for positioning, and however you want to fly this gimbal. It is extendable, so if you want to get short and kind of go low, you can, you know what I mean? If you want to get high. And again, the weight of this thing is just like featherweight. It's really, really light. I mean, you just got to feel it for yourself. Also, another cool, innovative accessory that they added to this gimbal was this wrist rest. Now, I've used this gimbal 4 or 5 times so far since I purchased it. And I got to tell you, the wrist rest is a game changer because after holding the gimbal after a while, yeah, your wrist does get a little fatigued and tired. And like, for instance, like I'm taking the Weebill S and I'm tilting it down without a camera and I can feel the strain on my wrist. Same thing with the Weebill 3. It's like my wrist locks in that position because of the wrist rest. It kind of forces me to use my elbow a little bit more and tighten up my biceps. So it gives me a good workout, even though this gimbal is super light. It's, in comparison, I actually think it's lighter than the Weebill S, just holding the two together here. Another thing in comparison to these two, the Weebill S, the original, the OG, and versus the Weebill 3, is the locking mechanism. So you have the locking for each gimbal motor where you can lock and adjust as you need to. So you lock it when you're ready to stabilize and balance your camera, and then you can release the locks on each axis to lock it away and pack it away. And it's small, compact, it packs away real nice and easy, and I've had no problems with finding a place to stash this gimbal. Most times I just keep the gimbal, my camera on the gimbal, and I keep it on the tripod and I just sit it in the corner, no problem. A couple more features on the Weebill 3, of course, like the Weebill S, they have the locking motors, which is just a game changer. It just makes balancing your gimbal and your camera so much easier. These cables here, there are 2 cables that I have here. One is for camera control, which it's great because I can control my iris, I can control my aperture, even my shutter speed straight from my camera on the gimbal menu. And this is my 3.5mm input audio jack or output audio jack into the input here. Yes, because there is a microphone on this gimbal. The microphone on the gimbal, I must say, it's not something where it's going to have superior audio quality. It's not going to be something that's going to be like you're going to use it in a situation where you need to capture great audio. No, it's good for scratch audio. It's good for, in fact, I recorded it in a crowded area. It was at a crowded restaurant and I was doing some interviews. And comparison to the lapel mic that the person had obviously was much clearer and much crisper. This had the noise cancellation, but it sounds very muffled.
What keeps you going?
I love life.
What keeps you going?
I love life.
So you don't want to use this microphone as a primary microphone or primary audio source. You want to have a lavalier to complement, but it does give you decent audio quality. In fact, may be better than some cameras. Another feature, great feature, which I don't want to turn it on because I don't have a camera and I don't want to turn it on to kind of make it go haywire. But it does have a light on this gimbal, and that's a new feature that is only seen through Zhiyun products. The M3, I think, is a gimbal, a smaller form factor gimbal that has a light as well. And the Weebill 3 has a light that is a game changer because I shoot weddings, I shoot interviews in dark, clubs or bars or, certain areas where you just need a little bit of light on the face of the subject that you're shooting. And it just comes in at the right time where you don't need to bring in another light or set up something else. It's right there when you need it, and it just makes it so much easier to have that readily accessible for you. Weebill, Zhiyun, they've done it again. I stuck with this brand because, comparison to DJI and some of the other gimbal manufacturers, to me, DJI is a superior brand, and Zhiyun is right up there with them, neck and neck. But I think with this particular brand, there's no other model like it out on the market that can do what it can do, that has its capabilities and be as flexible as it can be, as light as it can be, and have all the features that I didn't know I needed. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you got something out of it because there's going to be more to come. I'm a big tech, toy, and tool enthusiast. I love gadgets. And it helps me share my journey with you and my experiences as a filmmaker, videographer. So I hope to see you soon. Please like and subscribe.